Mediocrity is not in our DNA.
No, it's not.
Excellence is in our DNA.
How important is it to also keep moving, even in those seasons you feel, I'm not sure?
What didn't make me move was the perfection trap.
You spoke about relationships a lot and having like coaches and people around. How important has that been for your journey?
Very.
Yeah?
Very, very. From marriage to friend to coaches, people to encourage you, people to guide you.
Let's go to marriage and one of that aspect. There's this notion that marriage can wait for now. I have better things to do.
First of all, you need to be whole.
Yeah.
You cannot go into a marriage without being whole. What happens now in marriages is that one party sacrifices so much for the other, but it'll get to a point in time where resentment will come in.
What is your reason for keeping up the growth?
My why has been...
What is one thing you wish someone watching would understand about a journey to becoming better? Hello family, and welcome to the Building Your Better You podcast, a space where we stop surviving and start growing intentionally. I'm your host, Dami Days, and in each episode we'll dive into real conversations, raw reflections, and powerful stories that inspire you to build your better you. If you're ready to rise above autopilot and embrace the version of you that's waiting to shine, then this podcast is for you. So hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the follow button, and let's start building your better you together. Hey guys, what's up? What's good? Welcome back to another episode of Building Your Better You podcast. In this episode, we have another special guest, a very special friend, a very special sister in my life that's got a wealth of experience that we're going to delve into. Drum roll for who we have here today. We have, how are you?
I am well.
Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
So today we're going to be talking about lots of things, but before we get into it, let's tell the people who is Mokwe.
So Mokwe is she's a Jesus girl.
Okay.
Like a daddy's girl.
Okay.
Jesus girl, right? Mokwe is a conduit with a mission to, one, change the healthcare sector.
Okay.
Through innovation, like a paradigm shift.
Okay.
Two, to build women
of
substance. So when I say build women of substance, like through different things. I've got a podcast as well. So focused on women. Sorry, guys.
The 360.
And it's called the 360 Lady. And the 360 Lady name is really just thinking about yourself as a whole, right?
Absolutely.
Knowing that you're complete in Christ. I also mentor kids.
Amazing.
On engineering and career and what they want to do in life. I have a charity in Nigeria. Not a lot of people know this. Started it in 2012.
Oh, wow.
And it's been going on. Very focused on homeless people.
Okay.
So yeah, in December we go out outreach. I don't go often, but I have people, doing this with me. So medtech professional, was in the oil and gas 12 years and left.
Wow.
Into the medtech world. And yeah,
that's
about me. Yeah.
Do you know when you said that about your charity, I remember, do you know that Prince Williams was in Aberdeen the other day?
I heard. And
Stephen Bartlett. Yeah. But yeah, okay, love it. So I'm gonna go 3 icebreaker questions real quick before we delve into unraveling on
this
who this person is. But first question, what's one thing you have to do every morning?
Besides pick up my phone and,
Yeah, aside from all of that part.
Pray.
Okay. That's one thing you have to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Every morning, like, even if I don't do it on my bed, like, getting out of the house or, pray.
You just have to.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you feel like incomplete without it?
Sometimes I forget, to be honest, but I brush my teeth as well. Let's call it spit. I mean, I would not.
Yeah, without doing that. Some people do, Some people actually do leave their house without brushing their teeth. So that's not like unexpected for everybody.
Sorry, guys.
Okay, what's your favorite song in this season?
Exactly, because I have different songs.
Do you get for seasons? Exactly. So what's your favorite song for this season?
This season is Stand Still by Maeve House.
Okay, I've never
It's a
heard of
new
that
one.
one. I'm gonna write that
I'm
down.
not gonna sing. But yeah, it's Stand Still, Maeve House.
Okay. Maeve House.
Yeah, like Maverick City, Maeve House. They have an album called Maeve House with like different other artists. Really, the words are very powerful.
I see. Interesting.
Yeah, talks about your body being a vessel. It's good.
Okay, listen to the song if you haven't. And finally, you talked about different things in terms of career, who you have been, who you are, and we are going to see. But if you were not any of these things, what other career would you pick?
Wow, that's a really good question.
Think about it.
I would probably be a food critic.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Oh, gosh, yeah. I would like travel the world
really?
and like write on different types of, yeah.
Are you type of person to just eat? To be honest, we do a date. We usually just go out to eat.
Yeah, we do. So yeah, definitely, I'm very big on trying new things.
What's your favorite cuisine aside from where you come from?
I think the best that I've had is rabbit sauce, and I had that in Malta. I think it's their local dish. It's really good.
Rabbit sauce.
It's like rabbit. Some sauce.
You eat it with rice or something, or it's just you drink it?
You have it with potato, but the sauce itself, rabbit sauce.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's good. It's really
I don't know if my adventures that direction, but I love it.
Yeah.
So would you say Maltese food then is what you like, or is it just the rabbit sauce?
I like Thai food.
Of course,
but
Thai
I
food.
specifically
like rabbit sauce.
Rabbit sauce.
Okay. All right. Let's go back to the beginning of Mukbe.
Okay.
You're growing up and like your early journey, like what was that like? Had you always been this person from the beginning, or what was your childhood like? Let us know. What were your early days like?
My early days, it's been a journey.
Yeah,
I'm still on that journey to becoming. But my early days, I grew up in Nigeria. I have 2 other siblings. When I look back, I'm just like, whoa, this has happened to me. So grew up in Nigeria. My mom and dad were initially in Egypt. Gave birth to me in Nigeria. 9 months, my dad passed away in an accident. So my mom, who just moved back to Nigeria, she was a doctor. She's still a doctor, retired now, but she would take care of 3 of us, so myself and my older brothers. And growing up as the last born, I would see this thing. Sometimes it would be like long nights of calls. She's just a doctor, so you can imagine long hours and everything. Watching my mom, I guess now I realize, but growing up, you sort of watch your mom do all these things and you're thinking, oh, why are you doing all this thing? But now, in hindsight, you realize, wow, like she did that and still had a career. I think for me, that's sort of the standard, almost like that is what I'd seen. And like from when I was even growing up, I sort of like, I want to do this, I want to do that. And I'd always told people, like when I was 16, like I want to do biomedical engineering.
Okay.
Back then, no one knew what biomedical engineering was. And, you know, so we had some people saying, if you're doing engineering, just do engineering. If you're doing medicine, just do medicine. Like, which one? So I wrote it down, I think on a Word document, like Microsoft Word, which years after I had to recover. And like uncles, my dad not being around as well. I had a lot of father figures. So they would sort of ask and be like, what do you want to do? And I tell them, and I'm like, what is that? So I had to get a standard of, this is what I want to do. I want to go to America, do a master's. I want to work in a company that innovates. And I had all this things, right? But it didn't quite happen.
Okay.
Right? Then I went to Ghana, schooled in Ghana, came to England after that, and I did material science and engineering. So I went through that path, went to oil and gas, and then spent my years in oil and gas. But it's been a great journey. Eventually transitioned. Okay. After so long, 12 years. That is so interesting. In oil and gas. Eventually transitioned into the med tech. And I remember when, like just a week after I got the job, I recovered. I don't know, it was almost like the Holy Spirit said, you wrote this thing down, and I went to sort of recover it, and I had to recover it because it was an old version of Word, and I saw it and I just started crying. It was almost like I had this table, you know how you do like a process flow, this is what I'm gonna do. But it was quite interesting, and I'm still on that journey of becoming, but I would say growing up and seeing my mom, she sort of set that standard for me in terms of resilience and ethics and hard work. That's so interesting. Where did the med tech come from? Was it because you saw your mom in health, or was that just like an inner interest that was always there? It was within, because like I would have gone down the path of full medicine, full healthcare. because my dad was a gynecologist.
Okay.
So my grandfather, bless his soul, he was like, just do med, because my brothers didn't do medicine.
Right.
So it was almost like, the last
somebody
chance. Has to take this stethoscope.
Right.
But I insisted and said, no, I just love engineering, and I love the whole creativity and the innovation and engineering things to solve healthcare solutions. So yeah, I think it was just a thing I wanted to really do. Not really influenced by my mom.
Like people, okay.
Yeah, people.
Did you end up doing biomed engineering, or did you just
I did not.
Okay, so
I did material. Where was the
where was
switch,
the
right?
like?
What did it? I didn't. I did material science and engineering in Sheffield, and I remember when I was done, I thought, I'll go back to Nigeria. So I went back to Nigeria, did NYSC, worked in Shell Nigeria, and obviously like oil and gas, you're seeing people making money, and you're just like, what, I think I want to make money.
Okay,
I think it's money's
I
good.
think money is great.
So you have all these mentors, and because I make it a point that everywhere I go, I sort of have this mentor.
Okay.
And I had this mentor there, and he was like, yeah, go do corrosion engineering. It's great for you. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to do that. So came back to the UK, did corrosion control engineering in Manchester. And from then on, I just got sucked into oil and gas. And again, the money aspect came in. And again, I say this to people. If you're going into a career or you're changing careers, you should have the 3 Ps, which is passion. If it's not your passion, then, there's no point.
There's no
reason if you're not doing passion, then the second is profit, which is money, which again is
so you think it's important to balance both?
Not really a balance. I think there are different seasons in your life.
Okay.
At that season, I was so focused on, I wasn't thinking about passion.
Right.
I was just like, man,
give
the
me
money
the
is good. Just give me the profit. Yeah. And I think the last one is position. Almost like some people are heads, directors of NGOs, not necessarily making money. Okay. But it's the position that it gives you.
Right. The status.
So there's 3, yeah. So exactly. Okay. So there's 3 Ps. I think everyone in life, I mean, some people, they're just like, I want to make money. You see people going to Middle East and they just want to make, it's that season of their life. And some people, they've worked for so long and they're like, I'm not fulfilled. And I think that was my story, because I've been in the oil and gas, and I wanted to do more. I was uncomfortable. Okay. And that's where it sort of stemmed from. So mine was a bit of, so after I went there, did it for 12 years, I was like, nah, I think it's time to move. But I asked myself the question, I mean, along the whole journey, I would apply, I would, tell people and talk about it. And I remember someone asking me, like, are you actually in the oil and gas? Or, because I spoke so much about healthcare. And once I was talking to my coach, and she said, close your eyes and imagine what you'll be doing in another 3 years. And I closed my eyes and I was like, I imagine myself in a conference talking to people about a portable MRI equipment. An MRI. An MRI is huge. Yeah. But like, the innovation and someone that is portable. Yeah. She's like, no, just do this. Like, what is wrong with you? Like, you're not even in the oil and gas space mentally.
You've left there.
I've left. So I switched out. So that's where the whole uncomfortability then, and that
is so interesting. Going back to the 3 Ps though, I always say to people, I'm not sure if the age we pick our careers is a good age, if you want to put it that way, in terms of like thinking about where I was at 16 here, because that's when you start like tailoring your subjects. If you were to go to uni, like how much do you actually know about yourself to be able to make those type of heavy decisions? But it's good to see that with the strategy like the 3 Ps, you can kind of like, it can't all be the same bar, should I say, on the graph, but you can kind of decide. Because for me, with when I wanted to do medicine initially, I know I didn't get the grades. I was clearly not passionate about it, because I was like, next, what is next on my table? And then I went into pharmacy, and that was really just a little bit of passion, probably more of a profit, because I was thinking of like, okay, these are the sciences that I'm good at. I can get by with this, because I was trying to balance that between that and biomed. But yeah, I think it's quite interesting, because then I guess people at that age, late teens or even early 20s, can kind of be like, okay, in this phase that I'm at, I can kind of go with this over this, and then maybe switch over to that versus that. But would you say at that age, there's a certain P you should prioritize first before the other? Because
No.
Okay.
No. And it just depends on who you are as a person. I'm probably an anomaly, I'd say that, because not a lot of people, like I speak to my nephews, I speak to teenagers every single time, and I'm like, what do you want to do? And they're like, I don't know. Some say, I just want to be a social media influencer. I'm like, great. But like at that age, it's almost like I hammer down on knowing who you are rather than knowing what you want to do.
Word.
'Cause
girl, word.
You can, especially with parents, and again with parenting, it's almost like they have a life drawn up that
For
they want you to live, right?
Yeah.
I heard AI is raining now.
Good.
Those are AI. But no, who am I? What is my skill? What is my strength? What do I love doing? Like, forget like the whole Maya Briggs.
Yeah.
But like, what do I love doing?
Yeah.
Start with that. And knowing who you are and what would I enjoy? Guess what? There are some 16-year-olds that they just want money.
Wow.
And that's okay. That is okay. But what I say is know who you are. And there's something that I talk about. It's selfful.
Okay.
And it's not like selfish, just it's almost like you're fully aware of yourself.
Right.
Now at 16, are you fully aware of yourself? No, you're not.
No. Yeah.
But once you have a little knowledge about what you like, and it doesn't have to be anything. There's some 16-year-olds that know that they are gamers and that's what they want to do.
Yeah.
But with the guide of knowing who you are and knowing, oh, this looks okay. I mean, I got A in math, because again, sometimes about the grades, right?
Yeah.
Go for it. Go for it. But one thing I always say is somehow, some way, you would indirectly find out where you are supposed to be. Somehow, some way. You might not know how to get there,
right?
But you would eventually, that's sort of when because again, my mom, she wanted to be a lawyer.
Okay.
My mom is a talker, like she would talk. But she ended up doing medicine in public health, which, if you think about it, is the law part of medicine,
right? Yeah.
Ish.
Yeah.
Again, her dad wanted her to do medicine.
Okay.
And again, the Bible says obey your parents, right? So she obeyed her dad, but somehow, some way, she found herself there. I think it's a lot to do with so many ingredients, with prayer, with keeping that vision and, writing it down and keeping it fresh and not forgetting it.
Yeah.
Eventually, but again, like, life is short. Don't box yourself.
Yeah.
When you think about people who've done things, you look at KFC, look at the guy. Like, there's so many people that did things later on in life. These people had like full careers or did nothing and eventually found. So it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to
I think that's
not that deep.
I know. I think that's the key thing, because I think at that stage, especially schools, they hammer it so much that it's like, this is such a crucial decision that if you get it wrong, your life is over. Because I literally thought my life was over when I didn't get my grades. But I think it's great to see, like I said, like with the 3P strategies and just knowing who you are, that you will probably evolve and things will change, as we'll probably get into. Like when you get into something, you might probably find out that actually it might not be this thing, and you move on to the next. We've gone past the days of, I did this uni degree, or I only have this skill set, therefore I can only work in this space.
Girl, we're gone way past it.
Way past that. Like if you, and I think that's why knowing yourself and building yourself is important, because then you can like be malleable in any environment and be able to move, So just see it as like, I'm here for now. You get what I mean? Even if I don't know how to
balance that. It's hard to think that.
Yeah.
Especially like when you think about parents being fees, they're like, you are doing that's it. But again, it can translate, and no skill is ever lost.
Yes,
it's never lost. So even the degree you will definitely use some of the skills. Whatever you decide.
Or the relationships that you built from that exposure.
Exactly.
But from your journey, what do you think? What journey has shaped you the most, would you say?
I think seeing my mom, that journey, that time of my life, just the early teens, unknowingly sort of built or shaped me in a way. And again, what is shaping the things you see, and how you're built, your nurture, your nature, the values, those sort of things shape me, because I left home very, should I say quite early. I went to Ghana myself, and then I came to the UK myself, and staying on my own, and having to work. Like, geez, that hustle. Oh, wow.
It's a lot.
Oh, gosh. Like, summer, I go to London. And then I still vividly remember my friends and I would do, like, call center, like, making money. Wow. Or, like, is it selling hair? Or is it, back when human hair started and you're just grinding?
Yes.
So I think that sort of shaped me. Like, I guess seeing that model, that,
Yeah,
sort of like, I strive to be resilient.
And for the people that maybe don't, I guess, see that, for example, or aren't privileged, I guess, to be shaped by such a journey with things like social media, where maybe that has a greater influence than the people that you see in real life that are working hard. What would you say to that girl or that person or that boy that is thinking that actually I don't need to like put in the work, whether that's like, I don't know, never know when you worked in a call center, for example. Do you get like all those dots, I guess, are connected to like who you are today in terms of, work and like your ethic. But like, what would you say to that person that I'm like, actually, I don't want to work. Like life is just que sera, whatever will be.
I love it. That's an interesting one, and there are lots of people like that in 2025.
And I think social media has a huge part because you only see a picture of someone life,
Yeah, exactly. I just remember a story that Simon Sinek, I don't know if you listen to Simon Sinek, spoke about, and he was talking about a former defense secretary.
Okay.
Who went to give a talk at a conference.
Yeah.
He was on stage holding a plastic cup, right?
Okay.
The defense secretary himself stopped and said, last year I was the defense secretary, not the former defense secretary. And my flights were booked. They got me in a car from the airport. They opened the door and said, yes, sir. Got me in here. I didn't even have to ask for a cup of coffee. They gave me a cup of coffee. But when I walked here today, I booked my flight. I opened the door myself. I got an Uber. I asked, where can I get coffee? And they pointed to the coffee shop. Like, it was real, right? And the story from that was all the lovely things you see around you and the perks and the yes, sir, and the, the fame that comes with the position. And again, you're married to a rich man, all those perks, it's the position that you occupy that it comes with.
Okay.
Not who you are as a person.
Okay.
So going back to what I said about being self-full, having a full awareness of yourself, except you fully understand who you are, so understand, how can I be capable of doing certain things and what's my identity? It's almost like my identity is not in being the defense secretary, because believe it or not, that position will go. Yeah. Like, what do you do then? You're married to a rich man. God forbid. What if he's not there? Yeah. What if it's not? How can I be malleable, like you said, enough to do other things? Yeah. So again, back to the identity. Who am I? Like, what am I called to do? What am I, like, what can I offer you, Dami? Like, what can I do for you?
So true.
Like, again, I'm so big on we're called to serve. Like, whatever I have is not for me. I think it's for me sometimes, but but it's for someone. It's to serve. It's to, And if you think about it, like, you can lose that position in a twinkle of an eye. Yeah. So it's always good to remember, who am I as a person outside this job title? Who am I as a person outside this role? Who am I outside social media? What if Facebook closes or Instagram closes down? What do I do? And that's why COVID affected a lot of people. You know, what can I do? How can I be flexible enough to truly live who I'm called to be?
Yeah, and offer value, I guess.
Exactly.
And when you say, like, who are you? Some people might say, I am Dami. How would you define that in terms of, like, is it someone you build or is it someone that you just are? I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah. It's identity. You literally hit the nail and you answered it. It's knowing who you are, but it's also building that identity.
Okay.
And I'm a Christian, right? And knowing who I am, and I say this a lot in my podcast, I started the podcast because it started from a feeling of the devil is amazing in playing tricks, not feeling worthy, not feeling, But again, I remembered my name. Like, my name is Mokwe Nioluwa Jesu Christi.
Come on.
Which is, I'm complete in Christ. So is that knowledge of who am I? And the only way you can truly know who you are is knowing God. Because we're built in his image, right?
Yes.
So it's knowing who you are. And a lot of times when people say, oh, who is Dami? You're like, oh, I'm a doctor, I'm an engineer. That's not who I am.
That's what you do.
That's what you do.
Yeah.
And that's not what makes you who you are.
Yeah.
But it's understanding that identity. Who am I? Outside and out with all of those things.
Absolutely.
Who am I?
In terms of identity, I think that's so important because I was watching something recently. Pastor actually mentioned this yesterday in a service, but I heard it a couple of weeks ago as well. And how, like, if you want to understand the creation of everything, you have to go back to like the beginning, which is in the book of Genesis, right? In John 1:1 somewhere. Nothing that was made outside Christ, right? So if you're trying to make up your identity, like you say, outside of that, like, that's where you would have to like start. Because I remember the times, or many times really, the times I didn't get my grades, or the times that you're rejected from work, it really like makes you question your lifeline, you know, like, you know, when you, or even when you're in a phase or space that you think that this is where I'm meant to be, because you've defined it by this thing,
that box,
you know, it's like, and then you still feel that emptiness, if you want to call it that. So that finding your identity is so important. As they say, if you don't stand for anything, you fall for everything. So really knowing where your roots lie, and I think for you, having that in Christ definitely would have helped to the foundation of everything else.
Definitely.
You know, I think it's quite key. But let's go back to med tech and like career and stuff. Had you always found it, like, were you aware of your identity throughout all of those journeys, or is it something that you feel like
I think experiences. So I grew up in a Christian home.
Yeah.
And you get to a point where you're like, you realize, oh, I'm just following. You're like, let me do my own thing. I got to that point, and I think that was probably when I went to Ghana. So I'll tell you one defining moment for me. I went to Ghana and I was involved in a car accident. Okay. Yeah.
Wow.
Thinking about it, I'm like, God, thank you, Jesus. It was, it was quite almost like, Lord, I'm for you.
Wow.
Because prior to then, I was almost like, whatever. Sera.
Yeah.
Beach party.
I'm there.
So it was almost like from Thursday, it's like,
I'm there.
I don't know, but Ghana was it was a vibe.
Was a vibe.
So like from Thursday, it's like we're going to Labadi Beach. Friday, we're gonna play what's that, snooker. It's like from Thursday to like Monday,
Sunday.
You know, it's till even Monday.
Wow.
And I was just living, right? And I was going to do there's something called your renewal of your visa type thing, right? And I was going to cross the road. I told the cab driver, I was like, yeah, just drop me here. My friend and I will cross. And we literally crossed. So we're at the middle of the main road. So if you imagine like a dual carriageway, we're at the middle. And the car hit me from the part we had crossed, flung myself and my friend to the other side of the road. Wow. Where oncoming cars would have been coming. Now, the good thing is, thankfully, no car was coming. But I had a pelvic fracture. It was bloody. I went unconscious. Apparently, I was shouting, "Dear Lord, save me. Just save me. This one chance." I didn't know I was saying that. For me, it was a defining moment that God wanted to give me a second chance, almost to draw me back to him. So in that, I sort of started asking myself the question on purpose and, you know, almost like realigning. Because prior to then, I did want to do biomedical engineering. Okay. But I went to Ghana, and God knows why. I always think about Paul, a Paul moment, how he was redirected. So like, God probably wanted it to happen. It had to happen. So did that, and then I went there. But I'll say throughout the whole of even uni, people were doing final year projects and like semiconductors and I did my final year project in tissue engineering.
Okay.
So I used polymers and electric spun. So I always had it at the back of my head, right? That this is what I'm going to say. But I didn't know how. I didn't know when. I didn't know. I didn't know. Had no clue.
Right.
But I just kept it.
Right.
I had it behind my head. That, you know, I just keep, even if it's just one step or just whatever, you know, still happen. And even years after, since when I graduated, and I was sitting there in the class, and I would ask my friends, I'm like, oh, do I do an MBA? Or, you know, do I go back to school? Do I, you know, I always just ask myself that question until I had that aha moment. Yeah.
So how important do you think it is to listen to that voice on the inside? I don't know if everybody feels this way, but like some people, you just know, like you said, deep down, like this is something that I'm meant to be doing. I mean, you don't know that you're called to do it, but you just have that, I don't know how to explain it. Yes, your intuition is so strong about a thing that even if, for example, they pay you, even if the pay isn't great, like, you know, you're always going to be found there. Yeah. But like, how important is it would you have, I mean, I'm sure the journey wouldn't have been the journey without whatever has come with it, but would you have listened to it maybe earlier, or would you think it's just panned out right in terms of like it was still gonna find you?
Yeah, I get asked this question a lot. Like, what if you rebelled and like still stuck to doing biomedical engineering? Like, what would have, like, do you feel like you would have risen higher and quicker than, you know? But I don't know. That's the sovereignty in all of it. But one thing I always say is I don't regret the process. I don't regret the journey, because through that journey, I did a lot of things. And God's goal, right, is not to keep you booked, busy and blessed, right? Because when I was in oil and gas, I was booked, I was busy. And blessed. No joke. Like, I was doing fine. But there was
there's something
uncomfortability right there. And God, it's like, when you think about the creation, it's almost like God doesn't want you to be a faster caterpillar. He wants you to be a butterfly.
Speak it, girl.
So he wants you to evolve.
Go through the process.
Go through that process. That metamorphosizing, right?
Yes, yeah.
But a lot of us think, I'm going to become something else. It's like, how do I even... Good. And it's almost like a painful... When you just think about it, like, oh, like, I'm good being a caterpillar. I just want to go faster as a caterpillar. So you miss that evolution.
Yeah.
So for me, it's almost like I love the process I went through, because through that, I was even able to see the why, like get a clearer... And thankfully, I had people around, you know, like my coach that said, just go for it. Like, you know, and again, relationships are important. People around to say, you know, just do this, just go for it. But staying and being stuck, because it's easy to be comfortable.
Yes.
It's easy to be comfortable. But mediocrity is not in our DNA.
No, it's not.
It's not. I mean, God, even like, I think about Jesus when he was creating and he looked at himself and was like, this is good. This is good. Like, this is good. It's like, excellence is in our DNA. So in whatever we do, it's almost remembering that. And when you have that excellent spirit and you remember, again, we're made in God's image. He's an excellent God. We understand that, you know what? I will evolve as Christ evolves me, but again, paying attention to the leading of Christ.
That is so good, because I think even when you look at the story of creation, God is more than capable to have made heaven and earth in one day.
Oh yeah.
In 2 minutes.
Yeah.
You know? But there was, I believe he demonstrated the essence of process, you know, and also rest in the whole strategy. But I think, and now we're such a microwave generation. Even myself, because I was saying to my friends, my husband the other day, I was like, what is next? Like, I need to know what right I need to know what I'm doing now. Like, what am I doing right next? Now, but firstly, this is so adventurous to be in the middle of the process and really understanding that the journey is the destination. Like, there's it's very easy for him to just take you to where you want to be, but where you want to be and him just dumping you there would serve not as much purpose as if you've gone through the process. And like you said, we are made for one another, because now you can speak to other people. There are things that I wish I didn't go through, or I was just like, let me just jump into this phase, you know. But when someone asks you a question, maybe you have been through a similar journey, it's so fulfilling to be able to say, actually, you'll be fine too, because I've been through that. And it didn't kill me. It didn't burn me. If anything, it made me stronger. So embracing the process, I think, is so important when you are on that journey of building. But it's obviously not easy. Neither is it palatable in any way.
Let's call a spade a spade. It's not. It's not.
But it's essential.
It is. It is. And there's something called the pace of grace.
Ooh, I like that.
What I found and what I've learned. So this is more of an experience. When I've tried to rush into a season. The season
rushes
you
like
you learn your lesson.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there's a pace of grace.
Yeah.
Just move. I'm not saying sit.
Yeah, exactly.
Move.
Exactly.
But trust the process.
Exactly.
With God's timing.
Yeah, that is so good. In trusting, it's not easy to trust, but you have to. But I love what you said about still moving. Let's speak to that a little bit, because sometimes it can also be like, I'm just, gonna like sit here. I'm just gonna wait. I guess there are times of that, which you probably are in at the moment, which we're gonna talk about. How important is it to also, I guess, keep moving even in those seasons where like you feel, I'm not sure of what to do next,
Yeah, so for me it's like a lot of times, right, we are the problem.
Of course we are. Always.
We are the problem. It's almost like, in yourself, like I should be going out, or I should be doing this, I should, but you think, no, like you calculate. For me being the problem, and I'll tell you my personal story. My blocker and what didn't make me move was the perfection trap. Yeah. Right? And I got it from growing up, believe it or not. Seeing my mom
being so good at it. You're right.
I just thought, it has to be, But I realized that perfection is the enemy of done. And, I would always ask, like, how would do I do an MBA, or do I, and like, it crippled me.
It cripples you,
It crippled me. And just looking at things, and I'm like, just do it. Like, now I'm even almost like, put it out there.
Yeah.
Let people, it's almost better for people to give you
feedback. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then you improve.
Yeah.
Then your mind.
Just like
the mind. That mind.
Yeah.
Telling you, being your critic, to say, this is not nice. Did you see this? It's very bad. It cripples you.
Yeah.
And it's the enemy of done. You don't get to do things.
Yeah.
And that's an angle to it, because that's what makes you not do anything.
Yeah.
And that's my story. For some other people, it might be fear, it might be this, it might be that. Mine is, there are a lot of things that are blockers to you moving.
Yeah.
Right? Mine was perfection. Another one is fear. I mean, what's the worst that could happen?
Yeah.
Someone asked me the other day, I'm thinking of going on live, but I'm like, what's the worst that could happen? You do the live and it doesn't work. You delete it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's the loads of blockers that stop us that cripple us. But it's that when you think about what's the worst that could happen, and again when you think about the why, the motive, like again going back to why am I doing this? Like, what is my purpose here on earth? Like, why do I want to? And that the motive is aligned truly with what God wants. Then you let's be Nike. Just do it. Just do it.
Yeah, I think that embracing of just like keeping it moving is so important for your growth, because like you said, without moving, you don't have any feedback, you don't have any basketballs to grow from as well. You're just gonna remain in the same spot. But when you got that aha moment that I'm gonna do this. Actually, before we even go into that, you spoke about relationships a lot and having like coaches and people around. How important has that been for your journey?
Very,
Yeah.
Very, very, very.
In a good, important way.
Good way. Very good way. From marriage to friends to coaches. Most times, again, I might throw in personality there. As my personality, I always make an effort to, whatever sphere I find myself, have someone who's better than you.
Yes.
That you can look up to or ask questions or, Dammy, how did you have vlogging thing now? Like, teach me. Like, always being curious to know and learn.
Yeah.
But also, in recent times, for me, in development and growing, I always try to ask people, almost like a heart check. If I'm grumbling about someone or, I'm upset, I turn to my husband, I'm like, oh, what do you think? Do you think I'm overreacting?
Yeah.
Like, it's always just have those people around you
to just call you.
To just call you
to
out.
order.
Yeah. I have friends, so I don't want a sugarcoating. Tell me what it is.
Yeah.
Like, do you think I messed up there? Do you think I, just be honest with me.
Yeah.
But in that same vein, people to encourage you, people to guide you. It took me a coach to make me see, because it was already there. I was doing these things. I was talking. I was, I had a podcast and all that. Why I sort of started, got her as a coach was on Gallup strengths.
Right.
Like just knowing my strengths. I don't even know about Gallup, but like with Gallup strengths, there's the whole 34 strengths that you sort of delve into to know who you are. Like, how do you flow? Are you influencing? Are you more executing? Are you more a people's person? But it took her to make me see, like, look, you're already doing this.
Yeah.
These are your strengths. And I was like, oh, communication. Okay, I'm already doing that. Oh, strategic thinking. Ideation.
Yes.
So sometimes it takes the people around you because, again, your mind.
Yes, could be your biggest critic.
Yep.
Absolutely. And I love that, which is funny because I actually recently just got a career coach specifically. And I didn't really understand. I mean, I never really thought about it because I thought like mentors and coach, I guess, can be interchangeable, but they're actually like different. Yeah. And it really made me see the importance of like having different types of people in your circle, because here I am trying to break into a certain industry, and like you said, thinking that actually I'm not qualified in any way, shape or form, but having someone there, whether that's someone like you said in your circle or professionally, to be able to actually like give you inject some confidence, saying that actually you have this thing. So an activity we did was looking at a job role and looking at like where you fit in like detail, and you're actually able to see that, like you said, I'm actually a strategic thinker, I'm actually a great communicator, but sometimes without people or good people in your circle, whether that's your friends or your family or someone professional, you might just not realize how cool you are.
Like you probably knew, like, you're such a babe.
Yeah. As well as, like you said, being able to call you to order, because I think that's so important. So that the scripture says, in the multiple of counsel there is safety. So that counsel, I think, is so important, where you're not a lone fish. But sometimes I feel like we run with the idea of, it's just me, myself, and I,
No, it's and I just want to add something there as well. Just even for older people, as you grow older, there's Gen Z, there's Gen Y, there's,
there's Alpha, there's Beta.
But sometimes it's good to have those people in your corner. Believe it or not, sometimes you need to know this trend, right?
Yeah.
You need to learn. Like I always learn from people older, people younger, people on the side, people out with your class
and circle,
and your circle, because there are certain things that you would not know existed because of the
opportunities as well. You would not be open to without that. But let's go to marriage and one of that aspect. As a woman that's married, so let's speak to the ladies here, because as someone, I guess, that's young and married, one of the things that, I came across mindset wise, I had to kind of, because initially I was like, I'm going to get married in my 30s. Let's leave this out of my life now. Here I am, like 6 years earlier than that, by the mercy of God. But like, there's this notion that can be easily succumbed to that, you know, it's going to derail you, it's going to halt you, it's going to stop you from, you know, doing certain things. Just, I guess, speak to that girl that has that mindset of like, marriage can wait for now. I have better things to do. How has it proven to be beneficial for you, if it has been? Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with saying marriage can wait for now. The only thing I'd say is, are you afraid of marriage? And if you are, why are you? Again, back to the why. Why are you afraid of marriage? I mean, some people are like, yeah, a lot of divorce rates. And some people have said, you know, I just want to do things. I want to be a successful boss, you know?
Yes.
But again, going back to self-will, marriage, marriage is it's a transformational
journey.
It's almost like you evolve.
Yeah.
Because these are two imperfect, separate
strangers, people. Yeah.
It's marriage is an institution that is transformational. Because when you think about a mom giving birth to a child, it's almost like your blood still flows through that child, right? So, you know, you can tolerate, you know. But this is someone totally different. Yes. Different nurture, different personality sometimes, character. Like, you grew up differently. Yeah. You're coming together. You're almost, you need to blend. Yeah. Right? So, there's marriage, I would say, makes you grow. And I know it's hard to come to terms with. Yeah. But if you had a perfect, and again, nobody's perfect. Yeah. I mean, none. You can testify. Yeah. Nobody's perfect. But if you had a perfect spouse, right? How are you growing?
Yeah. What use is that?
What use is that?
Yeah.
How tell me how you are growing. You're not. Yeah. So marriage will teach you patience. Marriage will teach you tolerance. Marriage will teach you so many things. Marriage will teach you resilience. To be selfless. Sacrifice. Yeah. And I say this thing about, I give the chair analogy. I don't know if you've heard about the chair analogy. And that comes with love and sacrifice in marriage. And if you had one chair, I'm probably going to throw it back to you now. If you had one chair and there were both of you, husband and wife, what would you do? Ooh, put you on the spot there.
Question. If I'd sit on it.
Would you tell your husband to sit on it? Would he tell you to sit on it?
That's so
Or would he be like, sit down on me. I'll put you on my lap. What do you think?
Wow, that's so good. I mean, it depends on the circumstance that it is, but I'll probably sit on it.
You'll be sit and he'll stand.
Yeah.
So the thing with marriage and doing that, so that's an option. Some people would be like, sit down, I'll lap you.
Or like half bum.
That is the goal. Half bum, where you are both in it. Because what happens now in marriages is that one party sacrifices so much for the other, and it's all nice and good. I mean, I love you, babe. Yeah, I love you, babe. You're my
everything.
You know, don't worry. It's okay. It's okay. But it'll get to a point in time where resentment will come in. You have seen wives or husbands that have given up their careers or given up, you know, and it's going and it's going and it's going and it's going. And then the resentment builds. Yeah. That doesn't mean they didn't love the wife or the husband or the spouse, right? But if both of you are in it together, going through the pain, going through the suffering, sharing, you're both feeling how it feels to share one until God blesses you with another chair. You know?
Right. Yeah.
It's important to grow, and that's where growth and evolving comes. You know, starting from the beginning and going through the pains and going through the joys and going through everything together and experiencing it together. And that's why, you know, two becomes one. And that's why the Bible says you would leave your mother or your parents and cleave. And when you really think about the word cleave, whatever you cleave to shapes you. Yeah. So you would always grow from it. It's almost like it's shaping you. It's molding you. Yeah. Like, right?
But do you think that heavily dependent on who you choose as well?
It's dependent on both.
On both, okay.
It's dependent on who you are and who you choose.
Okay.
So sometimes and also depend on God, right? And how you allow God be the three chords.
Yeah.
First of all, you need to be whole.
Yeah.
You cannot go into a marriage without being whole. Like your husband is not going to fill you up.
Yeah.
Newsflash.
50%, 50%.
He's not.
Yeah.
But being whole in yourself, like being whole as you are, you know, and then looking for someone who's maybe not equally whole or who you believe is whole, because sometimes some guys will say, babe, right? But, you know, finding that person, right, who shares the same values, who, you know, negotiables and non-negotiables, and making God the center. Yeah. Because it's almost like God seeing both of you and saying, you're putting me at the center. He will bless the marriage, right? So there will be growth, but it also is dependent on those factors as well, right? Okay. And how you sort of make it malleable.
That is true.
Yeah.
But you've not found that it's how do I put it? It's distracting to your fulfilling of purpose. Do you know what I mean?
Times and seasons.
Times and seasons.
The seasons. I believe strongly in seasons. There's a time to grow. There's a time to plant. There's a time to harvest. Yeah. There's time to rest. Yeah. Right? So marriage, again, depending on who the person is, you should both want to build each other up, right? I mean, well, we love each other, right? Like, I want to see you win. Yeah. You would want to see your husband win, right? So there'll be times when I will say, babe, I'll take the back seat. Right. Do your thing. You go on. And there'll be times where the other person will be like, do you know what? I'll take the back seat. Yeah. And that's why I say there's seasons, because there'll be seasons where it's like, we're doing this. And there'll be seasons where, for example, childbirth, you know, the woman takes the back naturally. The woman takes the back seat, right? And then maybe after she's done, she's like, I want to go for it. Yeah. Okay, how can I? He doesn't necessarily have to take it back seat, or he could. There's paternity. He could. Yeah. So it's just the times and the seasons. I'm going back to what I said about the whole chair thing. You can't always constantly take the back seat, because there would brew resentment. And, you know, so in terms of the distracting, you should want to both build each other up, right? Again, nobody's perfect, right? Like, I should also be selfless enough to say, babe,
that word.
Yeah, that's the word. Sacrifice. Selfless.
Yeah, selfless. I think that's, I don't know, can you build that up before you get into the institution of marriage, you think? Because I think even for even for my generation, where we're at, I think it's something that we can be lacking in terms of how we've evolved to just be me, myself, and I again. Even you can see that in friendships and whatnot. But like, do you think it's something to build up beforehand, or do you think it's something that it would force you to grow in being selfless?
It's definitely beneficial building it up beforehand. Yeah, okay. Definitely. And you can do that in your friendships.
Yes, for sure.
Right? Like go out there for your friends, cheer them on, you know, join their joys and sorrow in their sorrows. Like, be selfless, right? Yeah. Because like you said, I do see a lot of it of no, cancel. Cancelled. It's definitely beneficial learning it before. But again, if you enter it and you realize, ooh, I'm lacking. It's one thing recognizing that, ooh, I'm a bit selfish, because some people don't even see it. Yeah. Right? Recognizing it is one thing, but you can ask for help. You can be intentional about being selfless in a marriage.
That is so key.
It's the intentionality
behind it. Yeah. And I think we can even pass that on to just back to like yourself and your growth. Like, it doesn't come without intention. Like, you can't just grow, you know, like, you get what I mean? Yeah, like, you can't just be and expect growth without like intention. And I guess that's the essence of conversations like this, to see that in most people's journeys that have seen results, there have been intentionality behind taking certain steps, you know. But back to now that you are where you are, what is your why? Like, what is your reason for keeping up the growth and keeping up the building or the becoming?
My why has been, what legacy can I leave behind? To be honest, and I'm going to be very honest with you, I had the intuition of what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
But I only figured out my why like for when I did the switch, actually. It's almost like I got in, I'm like, ooh, yeah, right? And your why isn't, like I said, it's beyond your job title, right? But in that place that you find yourself in, right? What do I want to be remembered for? What legacy do I want to leave behind? In the little things, because guess what? You might be saying, oh, I'm not killing it. I'm not, you know. Yeah. In the little things, like when I heard Dammy days, oh my days. I went for a funeral this year, and that is when you really see the words. Yeah, it's almost like they're like, oh, she was this, she was that, 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 she was that. And you ask yourself, like, what do I want to be remembered for? What do I want to be remembered for? In every that anyone I meet, Dammy, even if I don't know you, that they say, wow, she was amazing, she was kind, she left a legacy behind. She left a legacy. And I say that in the piece of even just the basic trait and the basic seed and fruit of even kindness. You know, when I think about my dad has passed away almost 40 years now. You know, I still find people who like, oh, your dad was very good. I mean, back in uni, I used to get a lot of money, but like, yeah, Dr. Give me money. Nobody gives you money now when you start working, believe it or not. But it's that kindness that even decades after, it speaks beyond you. Right. And that's exactly what your legacy is. That when you go, what do I want to be remembered for?
That's so deep.
Do I want to be remembered as Dammy Days? Do I want to remember as a person who brought encouragement to people? Like, oh, I listened to your episode and I just was so blessed. And again, it's even up until the level of even podcasting. Yeah. I'm beyond. So, because initially when I started, I was just like, ooh, how many downloads? How many? I'm just like,
it's not about the numbers.
It's not about, exactly.
Yeah.
And when you think about it, even the audience of one person can listen and be blessed. Yeah. And you know, that's fine. Yeah. That's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, that is my why, I guess.
That's so deep. Yeah. And now that you entered the med space, you've now like paused on that.
I have, indeed. Yes, I have.
So like how is that what's that season like? Do you, again, it goes back to linking back, I guess, with your identity. Have you been met with that crossroad again, that this is something that I've desired for so long, I'm now in it, but I've had to you know, retract, you know, and I guess look at myself again.
Yeah. No, it's really important, because now it's a season of, I want to use the word stillness, but I don't want to contradict myself. Yeah. It's a season of stillness, and it's almost like I left personal reasons. I decided to take a step back, and it felt like an Abraham moment, right? Yeah. Where Abraham had waited for Isaac, right? And God said, bring him. We're sacrificing. He's going to be meat. Wow. We're sacrificing him. And at that point, you ask yourself, this must be the devil. Like, Lord, you blessed me with this thing. Like, this must be the devil. But it's that obedience. Yes. And that's the most important. Like, obedience goes beyond anything. Yeah.
Better than sacrifice.
It is. It is. It's that obedience. So it's almost like whatever God gives you and you give back to him. Yeah. To know that, look, it's not mine, but like, I surrender. Yes. So that's the season I'm in. I'm in the season of surrender, the season of stillness. and I don't know where God is. Again, I could tell you, oh, this is what it is, but nah, fam, I do not know where he's taking me to. But in this season, I'm listening and I'm paying attention and I'm almost dwelling.
Yes.
Because it's important to dwell.
Yes.
It's important to dwell because this world of noise. By the time we listen to the news, by the time we listen to Instagram, by the time Instagram, it's noisy. Yeah. It's a noisy world we live in.
Yeah, for
but
sure.
It's important to dwell, to make sure you're walking in the path and you're in alignment, even if you can't see ahead of it.
Yeah.
So that's the season I'm in.
Wow. Right, and that's such a full circle moment, I guess, on everything we're spoken about in terms of, you know, having an identity beyond just the thing you do or the thing that you desire. Because again, the journey is a destination. You might probably get there and feel like, actually, maybe this is not it, or not right now, or there might be times where I need to step out, but still having that deep rooted identity in something bigger and knowing and trusting that God has a plan in every season of pause, every season of stop, every season of reflection or going, you know, that's so cool. But as we round up, because we can talk so much. So long. What is one thing you wish someone watching would understand about life or a journey?
Should I say one thing or two things?
You can do two.
Don't box yourself in. I think that has been my story. I could have still been annoying as till now. I could have, even you, Dami, you know, when I think about the multifacetedness, if there's a word like that, of what we do and how I find myself in this space, I'm going to do it, you know, not like, oh, I'm a pharmacist, I need to stay as a pharmacist and I can't, you know, don't box yourself in.
Yeah, it's so true.
And if, I'm telling you, if you do medicine and it doesn't work out, you can do something else. Yeah. It's not the end of the world.
It's really not the end of the world.
It's not the end of the world. So please don't box yourself in. Life is beautiful.
And as far as there's life, there's hope.
There is. There is. There is. So again, there are probably many people on path that they're thinking, it's not working out. Yeah. Feel free to move. It's almost like a stream. Yeah. You can flow wherever you want to flow. Yeah. And then the second thing is perfection. Yes. I used to be. Yeah. Oh gosh. Just do it. Yeah. Just do it. Perfection is evil.
Embrace the cost of embarrassment in the beginning to reach that.
I love that.
Perfection. Because you never reach in a day.
You need to constantly grow, and that's where growth comes in, right? So it's just move. Progress over perfection.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
I'm going to close with this question. I think you've answered it, but just for the sake of building your better you, what does building your better you mean to you or mean for you?
Building my better me is, I think, first of all, loving myself in the present as I am, where I'm at right now. And then taking those little tiny steps. Because it does count. It's like those little steps.
It counts.
By the time you know,
and it's all about the little steps, not just the big leaps.
Yeah. So, you know, when I look at myself 7 years from now, I'm like, ooh, God is good.
God
this
is good. Yes.
Yeah, but yeah, that's building a better me.
Wow.
Just loving myself where I'm at, taking those little steps and also helping those around me. Because I think, and that's really the essence of my podcast. That's the essence of even talking to people, meeting people, coming here. Yeah. You know, just helping those around you. Just using yourself as an instrument of God's will.
Well, thank you for being an instrument today.
Thank you for having me.
I'm sure you're leaving with something amazing today. Where can we find you? Where can we find your podcast to connect with, to listen to more?
So you can find me at different platforms. You can find me on LinkedIn as
Wonderful.
Mo Oyetunji, short form for Mokweni Oluwa Jesu Christi.
Hallelujah.
You heard it here first. You can also find me on Instagram as Agiyano. Don't ask me where that came from.
Yeah.
You can also find my podcast page. It's called the 360 Lady Podcast. You can find it on all podcast platforms. Spotify,
yes,
Apple, different ones. My charity doesn't have a page yet, but you can email at mbtgfoundation@gmail.com if you want to donate, support, whatever. And I have a women's ministry called SALT, which is Sisters of Love and Truth.
You're
it's not about women, right?
Yeah 360. Love it.
So that's on Instagram as well as _SALT ministry. So yeah, you can follow me on. You
can find her. You don't say you can't find her because clearly
I'll be somewhere.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed this episode.
I loved it. Thank you.
See you guys in the next one.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Woo! And that's a wrap on today's conversation. Take a moment to reflect. What's one small move you can make today towards a better you? If you love this episode, it would mean so much if you hit the subscribe button, left a review, or shared it with someone you care about. Until the next episode, keep building, keep growing.